An aircraft model is incomplete without a decent base under it. A well thought out base significantly aids the visual appeal of a model. Unless you're aiming for a diorama, there is really no need to include figures. Plus, figure painting is an altogether different ballgame. A poorly painted figure placed next to a great aircraft model can basically ruin your diorama. You may include ground equipment, however, which in most cases would go well with an aircraft model. In this episode, I'll share with you how to build a very simple tarmac base for your model. I'll also include two simple pieces of ground equipment. Hello and welcome back. I'm Khavar and I've been building models for over 32 years. You can find out more about me on my website. Please see the details in the description below. Plastic display boxes are actually quite common. You can pick one up from a local hobby shop. Trumpeter, Tamiya, and a few other brands do several different sizes. You can paint a tarmac design directly on the black base. That is fine, but you may have to fill and sand a few sinkholes on the surface first. I prefer to build the base on a separate ABS sheet and then stick that onto the black base. ABS or styrene sheets come in different sizes and thickness. Here I've cut out a 15 cm by 30 cm portion using a cutter and a scriber. Once the part is cut out, all four edges will need some sanding. At this point, I pick a tarmac field design, which in this case is quite a simple one as shown here. The base has two parts. One part has grey concrete slabs and the other is plain black tarmac. The next step is to draw concrete slab boundaries on the ABS sheet with a pencil. Concrete slabs other than the Soviet ones typically range from about 15 feet by 15 feet to about 25 feet by 25 feet in size. Any dimension within this range is generally acceptable. For a 72nd scale model, these dimensions are then scaled down appropriately. Once the slabs are marked out on the ABS sheet, a cutter and scriber are passed over the slab outlines gently to obtain slab isolation. Individual slabs are not completely cut out into separate pieces. The idea here is to introduce slab isolation so that we can run panel line color through these thin engravings later to mimic the tar. I use different types of scribers and cutting blades of varying thickness to introduce variation on adjacent slab edges. The creation of engravings around the slab edges leaves protruding edges, which then need to be sanded down. This can be done using an 800 grit sandpaper. I ensure a smooth surface across the entire ABS sheet. The texture on these slabs is mostly non-uniform, both in terms of orientation as well as roughness and granularity, as shown here with several references. I therefore mark the slabs with identifiers that tell me which sandpaper to use on which slab. Next, each slab is individually sanded to create the texture of the desired intensity and orientation. The second last step in the preparation of slabs is to dust away any debris from the engravings and then run Tamiya extra thin cement through them so that they would later allow a smooth flow of panel line accent color. The last step in slab creation is to create random cracks in slabs, again with the use of a scriber. Although the crack pattern does appear to be random, it is still a good idea to consult references for this step. An underground fuel tank access point has been added just to break the monotony. A smaller slab is marked out for this purpose. You will have to check your references for the dimensions and design of the fuel access point. Drill bits of successive sizes are used to realize the fuel hydrant pit. I used the photo etch part from a Gumpler set to realize the fuel tank cap. The next step is to prime the slabs with Mr. Surfacer 1000. I will not use the left side of the base in the next couple of steps and will treat it as a test bed. The first marbling layer on the slabs is achieved using diluted white paint. Then each slab is individually masked out and given several marbling coats of varying shades of orange, red, flat earth, olive green, German grey, and yellow. Color variation and oil and dirt marks are then added to the concrete by using residue paint on sponge. The colors used for texturing include white, sky grey, medium grey, black green, dark sea grey, green, black, olive drab, and tire black. Each individual slab is then masked out and given a diluted coat of grey to slightly tone down the variation. The tarmac area on the right is primed with Mr. Surfacer 1500 black. Marbling on the black tarmac area is achieved with a sponge and marbling stencils. The fuel access point is painted bright red, while the inner circle is painted with Mr. Surfacer 1000 grey primer for increased concrete roughness. More texturing is added to the tarmac area using stencils. The center line, which is 1/13th the width of the concrete slab, is then masked out and painted RLM yellow. Now that the base is painted, it is time to address the engravings between the concrete slabs. Diluted Tamiya X22 clear is sprayed on the engravings, that is into the crevices as well as the cracks. Then Tamiya black panaline accent color is run through these cracks. Any residue is later cleared with a cotton bud soaked in enamel thinner. Finally, a diluted coat of Vallejo polyurethane matte varnish is sprayed on the entire base to achieve a uniform dull finish. To top it all, a very thin piece of foliage created from a piece of sponge dipped in paint is added near the top right corner of the base. Several different types of access ladders and wheel chocks were used with the A5 aircraft, as highlighted with these reference images. I picked the ladder from the JF-17 photo etch set by Dream Model and wheel chocks from the part photo etch set for modern Soviet aircraft. These parts were primed black and painted red. The chipping effect was realized using the sponge and aluminum paint. The parts were later given a dirt brown wash. That's it for now. Thank you for watching this video. Please post your comments, suggestions and questions below and I'll get back. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please consider doing so. Stay tuned for an exciting kit review coming up next. Take care.